All right, everybody, welcome to the final page, final day of the Sacajawea text and activity packet. You guys have been working really hard on the other things that you've done. You've analyzed character relations, you've made connections with the text, you've analyzed historical and cultural relevances to the text. And now we can get into the really fun stuff, which is figurative language. That is kind of uh, the really light and fluffy stuff. It should be a pretty easy day today. There's not that much. If we look at the page in front of you, 579, it's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things of what to do. Up here at the top of the page, there is figurative language. The definition of it is the language that is used imaginatively rather than literally. It includes specific kinds of figures of speech, such as personification, simile, and metaphor. That kind of tells you the three types of figurative language that you're going to be looking at, because as you have done figurative language before, you know that there are many other figurative language types. So the only ones you really have to worry about, it seems, on this activity is personification, which is giving non-human things qualities and attributes as if they were humans. The example given is the sky misses the birds. Well, the sky is a non-human entity, so there is no way that it can actually miss anything. The next one is metaphors, implies a similarity between two unlike things. So it's making a comparison. It says, in the morning, the river is a ribbon of sunlight. It is comparing the river to a ribbon, okay, or a ribbon of sunlight. How bright, basically saying how bright it is. All right. And then the next one is kind of the opposite coin of similes. You are also showing a similarity between two unlike things. However, in this instance, you are using the terms like or as, okay? In the morning, the river looks like a ribbon of light. Again, notating that, in the morning light, a river is really, really bright and it just looks like the river itself is made of light instead of just reflecting the light, okay? So with that in mind, and this is going to be up here for you to see as examples as you go through. Let's get with the practice, okay? It says, work with your group to complete the activity and answer the questions. As you write and discuss your responses, use new vocabulary such as metaphor. Okay, so use that academic vocabulary that we have been teaching you guys, okay? If it's giving you an example of personification, this is an example of personification because however you want to fill that in. Okay. So for the number one, it says analyze, explain why each passage listed in the chart is an example of the figure of speech indicated. All right. So basically it does the legwork for you on this first chart. It gives you what the figure of speech is, and it gives you the text and where to look for it. You now have to explain why this phrase is personification, or you have to explain why this phrase is a metaphor, and so on with this one. Why is it a simile? That's all you're doing. How can you explain that? Well, you are more than likely going to have to go to these individual paragraphs, and you will have to read the whole context of the paragraph in order to get a valid and thorough explanation. You may need to have a sheet of notebook paper out, and number it, one, or draw the chart, however you want to do it. Again, however you do the work is up to you, as long as the work is able to be read and is intact. We typically do not mind how the work is turned in as long as we are able to tell what answer goes with what question and that we are able to read it. All right. So for this first one, you're basically doing this chart, and all you are doing on this chart is explaining how the text provided is the figure of speech that is indicated. All right. So that's number one. Number two, it has a two-part question. It says, what type of figure of speech is each of these examples? Okay, so you have A, my heart was singing, and B, the river almost took your father that day. So you have to, is 2A, what is the figure of speech? And then 2B, what is the figure of speech? And then that's it. Easy peasy. This is going to be a very quick assignment. We're already halfway through. Number 3, in paragraph 28, Sacajawea says, the river had certainly heard me then. All right. So in paragraph 28, Sacajawea says, the river had certainly heard me then. All right. So here's your two questions that go with that paragraph. We have an analyze. Explain how this is an example of personification. All right. So basically this question, how it's worded, it's telling you that it's personification. Okay. You don't have to guess, you don't have to say, yes, it's personification, or no, it's not. It's telling you it is. It is asking you to explain how it's an example of personification. So again, basically you're doing the same thing you did up here in the chart. You are explaining how the text provided is the figure of speech indicated. All right. Plain and simple, easy peasy again. 3B, we are interpreting. It says, explain why this passage is also literal and shows the nature of Sacagawea's religion. All right. So this one you may have to do a little bit more thinking on. You might have to go back into paragraph 28 and read the whole thing in context so that you can get a little bit more information on this. But it also should not be too difficult to explain how this could also be taken literally. All right. And then also, again, the nature of Sacagawea's religion, which would mirror Native American religion. Okay. And then last but certainly not least, we have number 4. Again, it's another interpret question. How does figurative language in this selection help to develop Sacagawea's character, showing how she sees connections between people, emotions, and nature? All right, so basically you are analyzing how figurative language is used with the character development, okay? How does it help you as the reader develop this character in your mind, this Sacagawea, and how she interacts with the world around her? Okay, that's what you're explaining here. As you can tell, all of these, with the exception possibly of number 2, because it just says what type of figure of speech is each of these examples. It doesn't have you giving an explanation for why or anything. They all pretty much need a sentence or 2 or even 3 sentences in order to explain fully the answer. However, like I said, they are going to be fairly easy, simple to do. If you need help, please make sure that you contact your teacher in the most convenient and quick way possible, typically through Schoology message or email. If you are face-to-face, make sure you come to tutoring, come see us in the hallway real quick. If it's a really quick question, we are more than happy to help you if you need the help. All right. So whenever you are done, this will be turned into the link provided for you in today's Schoology folder, and can't wait to see what y'all come up with.